we're decades behind, and it's so important to have our voices heard, to have a seat at the table here in Virginia. But the barriers faced in daily life for the community, they also face in gaining access and participation in government activities, voting included. Other states, they make efforts to ensure that constituents, they have equal access to receive information at the same time as they're doing here in our parts, such as having ASL interpreters across state like North Carolina, and more to Louisiana to do this, and also to have live action. If you're chosen as our candidate, can you commit to work with us so that community can have the administration and the General Assembly to make major changes to communication access so we can have our voices heard?
Yes, and thank you so much for that really wonderful question. I had the honor of meeting you and your mom outside earlier, and God bless you. This is such an important issue. The Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, we didn't talk a lot about what the Lieutenant Governor does, but of course, you preside over the Senate and you break ties in the case of a tie-breaking vote, and that's important. In particular because right now the Senate is split 21 Republicans and 19 Democrats. So you often do have ties. Up until 2015, it was split evenly 20-20. But what you also do as Lieutenant Governor of Virginia is you sit on a number of boards and commissions all around the state that help shape legislative and public policy here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. One of those very important boards and commissions that I will elevate in terms of its importance is the Virginia Disability Commission. And that is the commission that deals with issues around access for those who have disabilities, who are otherwise able, people who have hearing impairments, seeing impairments, who have other types of challenges that mean that we need to make sure we're providing the resources so that they can have full participation, not only in our democracy, but in our everyday civic life. You mentioned some of the most important examples in voting, in our school systems. These are for young people and adults alike. We also need to make sure that there are resources in our community colleges, in our healthcare facilities, and that we follow the mandate that we're very strict about the Americans with Disabilities Act. This is a federal law that, as we know, was last modified in the 90s, but it made so many things possible in terms of access to a life, a quality life here in the country. But in some states, they're a little bit more lax than others about enforcement at the federal and the state level. So we need to enforce that law, provide more resources, and really use that Disability Commission and the Lieutenant Governor's seat and leadership on that commission to highlight those issues and make sure the resources get directed where they need to be. So I commit to you that I will do that. Thank you. And let's have an interpreter at the next debate.
Thank you. I had the privilege of working with Senator Tom Harkin and Joe Biden in the Senate on the Americans with Disabilities Act. And as you know, Senator Harkin's brother was deaf. And I have the privilege of going to Gallaudet with him on numerous occasions to converse with the students there and their difficulties. There's a funny story that I tell, and it's kind of related to this. I think it's important that everybody has choices and everybody's voices get heard on what they need to succeed. A number of years ago, when my stepdaughter was staying with us in the summer, and my granddaughter was staying with us in the summer when my stepdaughter was going through her addiction, my granddaughter heard me on the phone with my husband talking about the need to have the tires changed on my car. And I hung up the phone, and my granddaughter looked at me and she said, "Grandma, Susu, as a feminist, you should be changing your own tires." And I looked at her and said, "Well, it's because I'm a feminist, I have a choice, and I choose not to do that." I think it's every American's right to have choices in their life, to be able to succeed and live happy and healthy. And I'm proud to say that today, my granddaughter calls herself an activist, and that's why I've been an activist and an advocate in Virginia for over 25 years.
When I worked for the governor of Connecticut, I worked on a lot of disability issues, and I realized that the power of providing services to individuals with challenges and disabilities, and the results you get from that can be profound. And I want to give you one great example. For the last 20 years before I retired, I trained about 1,000 federal prosecutors. 1,000. They were my kids, my students. They were new and experienced, what I call baby prosecutors. And one of them sitting to my right, as a matter of fact. But one of them, I won't mention his name. One of those 1,000, with all due respect to Justin, is one of my favorites because of this. He was blind. And when he came into my training program in the U.S. Attorney's Office, which was about a 6-month program, I had some reservations, but it was the most rewarding experience of my life. Why? We provided him the services and the support to be a federal prosecutor. We had a paralegal for him. We had certain things that we had to do. But it was so professionally rewarding for this reason. I mentioned that I had 110 trials. One of them was with this blind prosecutor. He was the lead. I was his coach and mentor. And it was a 2-week trial. 50 witnesses. It was a crooked dentist. And he was phenomenal. His closing argument and rebuttal were brilliant. And what I learned from that, if you provide the services and support and the access to people with disabilities, they can conquer the moon. So do I believe in what you asked? Absolutely. I lived it. By the way, the dentist, he was found guilty. He earned it.